Hello YouTube, this is William. Welcome to another frequently asked question. I have no idea what number we're up to. Probably just put them on there periodically and let it go at that. But anyway, probably another two questions that I get a lot that probably rolls into one video is uh, how do I get started in doing what you're doing, and how did WC Knives get started? So I get that question quite a bit. I did a video several years ago about how I got started, but it probably could use some updates. And so here we go. In 2012, I was semi-retired. I was for about 14 years. I was in senior management of commercial construction. I was anywhere from senior project manager to vice president of operations and a couple, three other companies. And so I was just completely exhausted at that point. And so I had semi-retired. I basically just got rid of everything I owned practically, and I moved back home just to kind of heal, to be honest. I was just mentally exhausted. Because I mean, unless you're in the commercial construction world in that capacity, you really don't understand the pressures that can be applied, especially when you're dealing with $300 million projects and behind schedule, over budget, that type of thing. And so, to say the least, I was brain dead. I was just completely spent. So for about a year or two, I didn't do anything. I just kind of just eat, sleep, exist, do chores around the house and that type of thing. But I wanted a knife, and I'm not going to name the name of the person that I wanted it from, or the company, because I don't even know if he's in business anymore. But he told me there was a 3-year wait. And so I said, well, I'm not going to wait 3 years for a knife. I'll just make it myself. And he kind of chuckled and said, okay, yeah, go ahead. And so I started experimenting in 2012. I got on YouTube and I watched some videos on how to anneal files, and how to heat treat files and semi-grind, and how the process was actually done. I got in the backyard with a pile of red oak wood and a little fire ring. I had a hair dryer with a galvanized pipe that blows air into the fire. And there's some videos, old videos on all this on my YouTube channel if you go back several years. And with a bucket of used motor oil, and I started playing around. I got a Harbor Freight 1x30 belt sander, and hey, I was in business. It was a hobby. At that point, it was a hobby. And for about 8 months, that's all I did. I mean, from daylight till dark. I mean, I played around, and eventually I got a knife that would hold an edge, that was reasonably sharp, that looked like a knife. I mean, anything that you start out with is not going to be perfect the first time. It was not a Bob Lovelace. it was not one of those Bark River knives that's highly polished and all this other stuff. I mean, they looked atrocious for a while. But then about November, while I was retired, I sold some things on eBay, so I was kind of familiar with eBay, because I had a knife collection of about 600 knives. I mean, some very expensive knives. It filled up 2 safes. I had 2 big gun safes that was full of knives, and that's what I retired on. To be honest, that paid what little bills I had left. It had a little spending cash with that, so that's how I did. I used that investment of 14 years of collecting knives as a retirement, basically, that paid my bills for a few years till I could heal and figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life. So I knew every knife that had ever existed. I pretty much had one. All right, or at least a design that was similar to it. So I was very familiar with knife designs and how things worked and what I liked and what I didn't like at that point. Um, so I was familiar with eBay. So a friend saw one of my knives and he says, you should sell those. And I said, well, I hadn't really thought about it. He said, no, just sell one. So I put it on my eBay account and it would sell. And I put another one on there and it would sell. Um, the Bobby Moody one did a video, and thank you, brother. Thank you. And that just seemed to take off, and I started getting a demand for my knives at that point. So I started taking orders for custom build knives, and eventually it got to where I couldn't put anything on eBay because it was all custom orders. And this was about November is when I first put the first one up for sale in 2012 on eBay. Um, so January of that year, I got my stamp, and I started doing them pretty much custom orders from that point on, putting them on eBay and doing custom bills and that type of stuff. And I mean, the first ones, yeah, they performed great, but they didn't look the best in the world. And if you go back through my videos, you'll see the progression of 7 years, what it does. But anyway, that's how I started. And the long story of this is you just have to start. I mean, get a little bit of knowledge. You don't have to know ins and outs. You don't have to have CNC machines. You don't have to have these thousands and thousands of dollars of equipment to build a knife. I mean, all it takes is a hot fire and an oven, and a little bitty belt grinder. Or you can do files. You can just file the bevels. You don't even have to have a grinder. I mean, there's always ways to do something if you have the desire and the drive. The big thing is you just got to start. You get up off the couch, out from behind the computer, and go out in the backyard and do it. So why can't build a fire? I live in the town. Well, if you have a barbecue pit, you can still build a fire. If you can get a blowtorch, I've seen them heat treat knives with blowtorches. There's always a way to do something if you really want to. So basically, WC Knives has graduated from the pole-barn shed to a portable building to finally building a shop as to where I'm at right now. And right now I've outgrown it. So I've got to decide if I'm going to increase the size of the shop or if I'm going to go lease a building uptown or what I'm going to do at this point, or see what happens next year is probably where I'm going to do. Because I want to increase and grow, and any shop that's not growing is dying. So I'm not one to sit back and say that's good enough. I mean, if you look at my knife designs and everything else, that I'm never satisfied with anything. I'm always saying, how can I improve this? How can I improve my craft? How can my designs improve? And that's the basic premise of WC Knives, is continually improving. And I think with any company, that should be part of their DNA, if you will, is never be satisfied. Always continually grow, always continually improve. Where I see WC Knives at in years down the road is rivaling Case. I see WC Knives as rivaling Buck. I'm not willing to sit back and let it say I'm a custom knife shop. Although I'm a semi-custom knife shop at this point, I'm not really a custom knife shop. Because if I'm going to build something, I'm going to build it. I mean, I'm going to continually build it. I'm not going to be satisfied with the status quo. All right. So I think that all of that makeup has to be part of building a business, no matter what it is. Now, people will say, well, I don't have the talent you've got. I don't have this. I don't have that. Well, I don't have the talent that you've got. Okay? So expand on that talent. And all of our talents are God-given. I mean, we all are unique. We all are different. And we don't fit in one mold. But we have to find what that talent is. And the main thing is, I didn't see that door until it was there. We have to recognize that door and open it and walk through it when we see it. That's the other thing. Don't miss opportunities like that. So Uh, the rest is history. I mean, it has taken 7 years. This is the seventh year, 2019, of WC Knives to get to this point. And I am just now realizing the investments that went into it, the blood, the sweat, the hours and hours in the shop learning how to do all this stuff that I do. It doesn't come overnight, people. It takes a drive. It takes some guts. It takes money. It takes a lot of fortitude to start a business, to keep that business running. Because not only do I grind knives, I'm a CEO, I'm a CFO, I'm a chief financial officer, I'm a chief marketing officer. I'm managing every aspect that you can in a company that somebody else manages. You're the manager of it. I procure materials. I clean the shop. I'm the janitor. I'm everything. I keep the books. I write the checks. All of that. All of that is part of being a business owner. It's just not about the knives that you see in this window over here. All right. So when you're going to start a business, take all that into account and be sure that you have the commitment because it's going to take a commitment. And but the rewards, man, just looking back over the past 7 years and the progressions that it has taken, and understanding the blessings from heaven that has fallen upon this shop is just unreal. It is unreal, and I'm just happy to be part of it. And I thank each and every one of you for being part of it, because without you, WC Knives would not exist. And I thank you. With that said, you guys get in the backyard, whittle on a stick. Be sure and take a child with you. Get the opportunity. And we'll catch you guys again soon.